It's Tuesday, which means it's time for another tutorial. And today I'm very, very excited to be talking about DeFi Saver. Now, last week we talked about InstaDApp and how to use their simulator to do gasless transactions to test out DeFi strategies. Well, today we've got another similar kind of platform, but this one's more for the kind of power user. It's designed to give you sophisticated tools to do all sorts of weird and wonderful things. And it's kind of combining the best of Fura Combo with InstaDApp, with Zapper, and it's really kind of awesome. So let's go straight into it. DeFiSaver.com is where you want to be. So they're calling it a one-stop management app for decentralized finance. It'll allow you to manage your positions across Maker, Compound, Reflexer they've just added, Aava, a bunch more. So the main protocols, but it does it in a really fascinating way. It also gives you some automation tools. So let's say you've got a position in Maker. It will automatically adjust your leverage according to where your CDP sits. So it'll increase leverage if above 230%, so it can boost it 200%, and then it can give you liquidation protection. So if your CDP drops below 170%, then it will repay to 200% and keep your account in check, avoid you being liquidated, all automatically, which is kind of awesome. It allows you to do things like convert positions from one protocol to another, so you can convert from Aava, for instance, to Compound, and a bunch more stuff. So let's dive in. Now, when we jump in and look at the app, by the way, just go to app up here, we're confronted with a pretty sophisticated looking setup here. The UX is nice. And then on the left-hand side, you'll see MakerDAO, Compound, Aava, Reflexer, Smart Savings, Exchange, Loan Shifter, and then Recipe Creator, which is their new thing, which we're going to be looking at later on. So the first thing I'm going to do is just connect my wallet, and it'll give me access to all the different positions that I'm in currently. And if you saw last week's tutorial, I ended up spending $300 to do something. It really wasn't money I wanted to spend. Fortunately today, I don't have to, because if we look down the bottom here, we have a simulation tab. So if I click simulation now, we can create a new simulation account, which will fund me to the tune of 100 ETH and allow me to get started, well, with whatever I want to do, basically. So let's say if I wanted to go to Maker and set up a CDP, I could do that. If I wanted to take out a loan on Aava, I can do all of that. Now, on InstaDApp, there was a 30-minute time limit. On DeFi Saver, there is not. Now, in the documentation, it said you could actually simulate an account that already exists. You can track any account you want and simulate what would happen under certain conditions with that account, which is pretty awesome. Now, one of the things that you need to just be aware of with DeFi Saver is that some of the sophisticated strategies like automation and some of the recipes, you need to use a smart wallet. And a smart wallet is basically, it's a contract wallet that has no limitations in terms of how complex transactions you can run on it. It's derived from the DSP proxy, which is used in MakerDAO. But effectively what it is it's a wallet within a wallet that's owned by you and managed by you, and it allows you to do more with your wallet than you would otherwise. Now, it exists in its own kind of separate entity, which means that you have to send funds, for instance, to your own wallet, and then they can be funneled through to the smart wallet. But we'll get into that in a second. But that's kind of one of the fundamental things that you need for using DeFi Saver. And that, as it says here, you can use it to use advanced features such as boost, repay, automation, and other complex multi-step actions on your DeFi positions. And it's really these multi-step actions that make DeFi Saver so exciting. So if we go in now, in simulation mode, I can create a CDP. So if I wanted to add ETH to the ETH vault and take out a loan in DAI, I can add 20 ETH, which will give me 30,951 DAI. I can also opt to leverage that. So all generated DAI will be then used to buy more ETH, which will be added to your CDP for increased leverage. And if you're using leverage in DeFi strategies, it basically means that the loan you take out is then reinvested back into a position as a kind of circular motion, which is very powerful, but also very risky. So we can create that. The dashboard gives you all the information that you need. So your collateralization ratio is 250%. Liquidation ratio is 150%. You can't do automation in simulation mode, unfortunately. But if we were not in simulation mode, we could then set up an automation strategy to manage that maker position to avoid getting liquidated, and also to boost it up when the collateralization ratio is favorable. So we can now create that. What I love about this is this this really awesome user interface. And also just in simulation mode, everything's so fast. It's going to accept that. Didn't look how much it was going to cost, because you know what? We got 100 ETH. We don't care. So we suggest enabling liquidation protection for your position. I'd love to, but I don't think we can. This feature is in beta, use your own risk. Feature unavailable in simulation. Yeah, so we can't use automation in simulation mode. That's fine. So if we look at some of the other tabs, we could set up, for instance, a loan in Compound. Allows you to add collateral, and you could borrow and pay back here. It's just a very nice layout. Same thing for other. All very nice. Reflexer, we would have to create a safe for Reflex, so that's a bit like the vault on Maker. And then in Smart Savings, we can search for an interest rate. There aren't a huge number of interest rates here, because primarily DeFi Saver is looking at just the biggest protocols at the moment. I'm sure it'll become more widely used and have more protocols plugged in, but for the moment that's what you have, and I understand why they're only working with the most solid, I guess you would call them, assets at the moment. But you know, if you wanted to take advantage of an interest rate like DidX, for instance, is 11.17 on DAI, that's not bad at all. You can do that. There's an exchange, I think it's very few options. Yeah, no, basically this is using, there's some decent number of options there. So it's sourcing from OX, 0x, Kyber, Uniswap, and Oasis, etc., etc. All good. Then there's the loan shifter, which is fun, which is allowing you to shift a position from, let's say, other to Compound. That's a very powerful thing to do, because unwinding a loan position it's going to get expensive. There's a lot of transactions involved, but if you can bundle them all up into one transaction, quickly shift from, let's say, a 9% borrow rate to a 7% borrow rate, that's a good thing to be able to do. Now we're going to get into the fun stuff, the recipe creator. Now, we covered Fura Combo a few weeks back, and that was looking at ways of combining money Legos together to create the recipe that you want. Well, this is a similar kind of thing, and it allows you to create whatever recipe you want. So it gives you some pre-made recipes here. For instance, we could mine comp rewards using DAI, and as you can see here, it gives you the blocks that are going on in this. So DidX flash loan, supply collateral to Compound, supply collateral to Compound, borrow from Compound, DidX loan payback. We can actually go in and look at the Legos themselves in here, so we can see what that's doing. Then we can actually click on them and edit, for instance, the amount of DAI. Down the bottom here, we could also, we could add in any number of Legos that we wanted to build the recipe that we want. And what I love about this, if I'm just go back to the recipe book, if I want to create a recipe, I can indeed drag in these blocks, but I can also just type it in. This is wild. So let's just try something here. Let's say I wanted to borrow DAI from Ava V2, sell for, let's say we wanted to sell it for USDC, and lend to Compound. If I type return now, it'll start to build the blocks from what I want to do. Now, I haven't written that particularly well. So I need to put some other functions in. So if I change that to borrow 20,000 DAI from Ava V2, sell for USD, lend to Compound, let's see what it does. So now it'll say, do I want to transfer the remaining USD balance back to my wallet at the end of the recipe? Yes. So I just need to make one last change. So I didn't say lend USDC, so I can write lend USDC to Compound. And now, let's say instead of lend, let's say supply USDC to Compound. And there we go. So now it says the wallet balance of USDC is negative. Did you mean to use the temporary balance? Yes, I do. So I now type in supply USDC from temporary balance to Compound. And now we have the correct recipe. And that's it. So I find that incredibly powerful because sometimes digging through these to find what you want won't necessarily be the way you want to do it. You know what the actions that you want to take. But I love the fact we can just say, right, I want to borrow from here, lend to here, and then I want to go here. And then it'll just fill in the blocks for you. That is so, so cool. So it wasn't really a tutorial today, more of a kind of a walkthrough, but there is so much to like here. And I think who this is for primarily is for people who are comfortable with DeFi and looking to become a power user, because this primarily will be for power users. But it gives you access to things like flash loans that otherwise you would have to code and do yourself through whatever means flash loans are coded, because they're not immediately available to people. But for instance, let's see if we can find one in here. I think, where was I looking before? So this is an interesting one. You can use a flash loan to supply collateral to other and mine other rewards using USDC. I think that was one they put on their website that was a kind of cool way of leveraging other V2. Again, using a flash loan. So again, flash loans are something that feel like they're for only hardcore coders, but now they're available to anybody. And if you do a bit of homework and figure out how they work, they're incredibly powerful. So I would highly recommend getting stuck into this, because in simulation mode, you can do everything. There's no time limit. And you can really start to play around and become a power user in this ecosystem, because ultimately the tools are all there and they shouldn't just be in the hands of experts. If you've got a brain on in your head and you do some homework, then you can use them just as easily as anyone else. Try them out in the simulator, see how they work, get some experience, get wrecked if you need to get wrecked, and start using the tools that are available to you. But I'm really enjoying using this and just how simple it is and how elegant it is. It's a really nice dashboard. Good work, guys. Don't let high gas costs keep you out of Ethereum. A balancer you can trade all you want and get most of the gas costs back in your pocket. In their new BAL for Gas campaign, traders are receiving 6 figures worth of BAL tokens every week. And with version 2, Balancer is becoming the one-stop shop for DeFi liquidity. Balancer version 2 brings stable pools and weighted pools tightly integrated under a single protocol, flash loans, lending via asset managers, and much more. Check it out at balancer.finance. We all know the feeling of paying high fees and waiting for transactions to confirm when interacting with DeFi. I suffer from that every time I do a tutorial or a first look. Well, no more. Solana has built a fast, censorship-resistant blockchain where you can build and use crypto apps that scale today. The network supports thousands of transactions per second with fees less than a cent and over 500 validators. To learn more, head over to solana.com/defiant to get started building and join its rapidly expanding community. Remember your first DeFi transaction. After juggling 5+ tabs on your browser, you gaze at that Etherscan confirmation, feeling like you just contributed to the future of finance. Except you got quickly lost in a world of gas prices, vaults, pools, hard forks, degens, and sushi chefs. Fear not. Zerion has built the dream tool for managing your portfolio. Track all of your token balances across wallets and chains, access every kind of DeFi asset, including indexes, pools, and yield strategies, and trade at the cheapest rates with no extra fees. And that's because Zerion sources liquidity from every decentralized exchange like Uniswap, 0x, and 1inch, and there's no sign-up required, no fees, and a blissfully easy UI. Simply connect your wallet at app.zerion.io. Now, back to the tutorial. Well, that was it for today's tutorial. I hope it was useful. I hope it opened your eyes to different ways to use DeFi. It certainly opens my eyes every time I see things like this, because there's just so much more to learn, to do, and it's all basically there if you want to use it. So good luck, get building, get busy. See you on the next one. Peace.